Right, well, welcome everybody. My name is Julia Feuell, as many of you know, from OTT, and I would love to introduce you to our wonderful panel today that we have. So we have Martina Jamnig. She is the director of the Austrian National Tourist Office. We have Susanne Holler, who is the head of destinations for content marketing at Graz Tourismus. And we have Gudrun Gaugl, who is the Director of Sales and Events of the Weitzer Hotels and Restaurants. Welcome to all of you. So let me introduce you fully, and then I think we're going to just play a very, very short video about your most beautiful destination. So to introduce Martina, first of all, Martina's career began in PR, focusing on promoting Austrian tourist attractions and the country as an excellent holiday destination for many different types of consumers. She joined the Austria National Tourist Office as their marketing manager over 5 years ago and was promoted to director and market manager almost 2 years ago. Martina actually qualified with a master's degree in sports management and had the unique opportunity of volunteering for the London Organising Committee of the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games, which would be great to talk to you more about that as well. But we're going to focus on Austria and how we're welcoming tourism today. I'd also like to welcome Susanne Holler. As I mentioned, Susanne is excited to be in the position of representing one of the most beautiful cities, she feels, in Austria, which is of course Graz. And she has been with Graz Tourist Office since 1993 and responsible for the international promotion of the destination. Susanne loves promoting the city to the travel agents and tour operators, as well as assisting travel bloggers and content creators and travel media with destination coverage. Susanne is an active member of the European Cities Marketing, which is a non-profit organisation promoting European cities and conventions, and I'm sure is more relevant than ever this year, all trying to get together to ensure we kind of do our best in this very difficult trading year. And so finally, Gudrun Gaugl. So Gudrun began her career working as a rep for Neckermann in Lanzarote and Mallorca. And after a few seasons, she embarked on a very stunning career in the hotel industry, working for 4- and 5-star hotels. And in 2012, Gudrun joined Weitzer Hotels and Restaurants as a sales manager, and then later and very swiftly became team leader for events before being promoted finally to director of sales. And we're very happy to welcome you all as well. So we have literally a 30-second reminder, as if you need reminding, on the most beautiful, well, I better not say it's the most beautiful country, but isn't it just stunning? One of the best countries in Europe. It just is beautiful from a nature point of view. So let me just play for you a very, very short video as a little reminder as to what we're missing, especially today as it's a beautiful day. There you go. I did say it was a very short video. I hope you enjoyed it, but it certainly illustrates, you know, the beauty of Austria. So first of all, I'd like to talk to Martina and find out really from you, Martina, the journey. If we take the journey coming over from the UK down to Austria, really traveling to Austria, what sort of measures are in place now? How are things going? I know that information keeps changing, as we all know, but what is it today?
Well, welcome also from my side. I think I start with a very brief overview about the situation in Austria at the moment. Austria is at the moment reopening everything. Hotels, restaurants are open since the mid of May. And if we see that something doesn't go right, we adapt it accordingly. As you know, the cases in Austria have been rising over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and this is one of the reasons why the UK or the British government decided to remove Austria from the travel corridor list on Saturday. So since Saturday, people returning from Austria to the UK have to go into quarantine, and the British government also said or advises against all but essential travel to Austria. However, we believe that as soon as everyone is back from their holidays in Austria, the numbers will go down again. especially because we also have a very thorough testing going on, especially in tourism, where staff is tested on a regular basis. And regarding travel to Austria, the airports are open. They are operating on a limited flight capacity. And there are direct flights from the UK to Austria, to Vienna, Salzburg and Innsbruck. UK residents entering Austria don't need a medical certificate or don't need to go into self-quarantine in Austria. So they can freely enter Austria. At the Vienna airport, people have the possibility to do a test for about 150 to 190 euros, and they get the results within a day. As mentioned, when you come back from Austria, you have to self-quarantine in the UK for 14 days, and you have to leave your contact details via this British government app. In Austria itself, there are certain rules which are you have to consider, but they are similar to the UK ones, like the wearing face mask on public transport and so on. But we have on our website, austria.info, we have all the updated information. So that's a good point to look at.
Very good. So just to sort of fully understand, and by all means, everyone that's listening, do pop any questions or comments into the chat, and we'll try and answer them as we go along, or certainly answer them live. Now is your time to sort of really ask this very esteemed panel of senior women, actually, as to what the situation is, because these are the ones that know. This is not something you're just reading. These are the people that know. So what I'd like to know, actually, Martina, is it sounded as though well, the testing sounds optional, and obviously it's an extra fee. So are you doing any other screening, like temperature checking or that sort of thing? Do you know what's been happening at the airports to?
Not at the moment. So I was just flying to Austria 2 weeks ago, and it was very easy because the UK is on the safe list. From my experience, I was also traveling to Austria in May, and because it was not safe at that time, there were temperature checks. You had to leave your contact details. But at the moment, as I said, as there are no travel restrictions for the UK, you can really enter freely as normal.
It's quite funny though, isn't it? I mean, so we're sort of worried about coming back and temperature checks and all the rest of it. And then you were doing the temperature checks, and then now you've kind of thought, oh no, the UK people, they're okay. And we're all nervous of a second wave, and news every day how things are going. I don't know. So it just shows you things just keep changing, don't they?
But it has to do with this 20, the number of newly infected people has to be below 20. Oh, right. That's the measure the UK government takes. So if over the last 7 days, less than 20 people out of 100,000 people have been infected, you are a safe country. If you're over it, you are not safe. And Austria is, I think, at 21. So that's why we are.
You're 21.
Yeah. So.
God, but then how often do they monitor that? Because that in itself is an interesting statistic. Do they monitor it weekly, daily? I mean,
I think it is from the European health system, and the UK just takes the last 7 days, so it's weekly more or less. So last Wednesday we didn't know that, or we thought Austria is still safe, and on Thursday they decided no, it's not safe anymore. And as far as I'm aware, they re-evaluate it weekly. So
right. So if you go to 19. Then suddenly we don't need to quarantine.
Hopefully, but other countries are on 21 and they're still on the travel corridor list. So that's a decision the UK government makes.
Has made. Yeah. It's a difficult one, because then if you're hovering around 18, 19, 20, then at any moment you could then suddenly have a quarantine where the quarantine didn't exist. So, but anyway, we're getting into sort of politics, and politics, we none of us can do much about it, can we? But all we can do is obviously take the information that we have at the moment and be guided by it and help, guide our customers in traveling to Austria and how that will go. So do they have quite a lot of measures at the airport as well? Have you got these sort of screens up and bits and pieces? I'm sure they probably would do, but I'm just...
Yeah, they have the safety information, what you have to do. So that's all in place, so people can feel safe.
Yeah, okay, cool. Great. Okay, so now I think we've landed in Austria, and now we're going to make our way over to the wonderful Weitzer boutique chain of hotels and restaurants, not to forget the restaurants too. And so Gudrun, tell us about the experience from the hotel perspective now.
First of all, I would welcome everybody here to this lovely webinar with a quite interesting matter. It affects us all a lot. At our Weitzer Hotel Group, we have 5 hotels and several restaurants, so I can maybe give an insight on both of them, hotel and restaurant. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have taken all the measures the Austrian government decided as necessary. This is things like the distance of, in Austria it's minimum 1 meter. There might be some countries where it's more. There is the distance of 1 meter. The hotel and restaurant staff does not have to carry the mouth-nose protection or face shields. On our own, we decided to wear them just to be safe for our guests and also for our employees. Of course, we are working with highly effective disinfectants in the rooms for cleaning, but of course also in all public areas. For example, hand rails, doorknobs, lift buttons, and generally all metal surfaces are disinfected hourly. Our reception desks are equipped with a plexiglass paneling to ensure protection against droplets on both sides. An important point at the hotel is the breakfast. We still offer a buffet, but with all necessary measures. Like most of the food is packed and portioned, and on, for example, eggs and ham and sausages we all love for breakfast. There is staff from our hotels and they are serving it.
Right.
It's, of course, the disinfectants are everywhere in the hotel. When you enter reception, in front of the lift, when you enter restaurants, at the toilets. And so we try to make it possible to disinfect your hands everywhere you are at the hotel. We have taken some measures additionally, like we make daily body temperature checks to our staff. Soon we will have a temperature scan where each employee goes before starting to work, and it will be scanned automatically, and just in case if there would be high temperature, there would be an alarm, so we know. The Austria authorities gave us the possibility to make PCR tests once a week. All our staff is taking this test once a week. It's exactly what I will make after this webinar. It was on Thursday, and on Friday we got the results. Everybody of us had already an antibody test too, so we are trying to be safe for our own and especially for our guests. At the restaurants, we have in Austria a distance between the tables also from 1 meter. You don't have to wear a mouth and nose protection as a guest, but as I told before, our staff is doing this for your security. Meetings are allowed in Austria. Since the 1st of August, it's possible for up to 200 persons inside we are doing smaller meetings, like at the moment it's about 10 to 50%, and it works well because we can guarantee that every guest is sitting on a table with the necessary distance. Yeah, that's more or less how we are working. We are in a lucky situation having guests in our hotels and in Graz and in Vienna. So all 5 hotels are open, and they are running quite well at the moment.
Fabulous. That was a very comprehensive update, I must say, Gudrun, thank you very much for that. So there's quite a few things that you mentioned there, which are quite interesting. Certainly in the UK, we're also now down from 2 meters to 1 meter, and certainly we don't wear masks in restaurants, but if you're picking up takeaway, then you're supposed to, and all this sort of thing. So it sounds quite similar, but we haven't cracked the antibody testing. I really wish we had. And that's where sort of the world is kind of getting together and trying to work out what each country's doing, what scientists know and don't know. And I'm sure eventually by the end of the year, let's hope we'll get our acts together to be able to help solve it all. But it's great to know all of your hotels are open, and that you've managed to get make that happen. I think the world is going to be a much cleaner place. It sounds like you're very clean with lots of anti-bac everywhere. And Austria was already beautiful and clean anyway to begin with, so let's face it, but it'll be even cleaner. But so 200 guests, is that what you said? That you can have 200 as a group? That's
since the 1st of August, it's the limit with 200 persons inside, and the plan is to increase it in September. But as you told already, things are changing. You have to always watch the situation. I just was watching a press conference before, and they told that they will also offer the free tests for the restaurants, not only for the hotels. So all staff in Austrian restaurants will have the possibility to make the PCR tests weekly.
Right, okay. So
paid by the government.
That is really interesting information to tell the consumers that are going to be traveling to Austria about that. It's quite a comforting thing to know. That's really good. So do your hotels also do weddings, just out of interest? Or a nice venue?
Yeah, we have very nice wedding venues. During the lockdown, of course, most of the couples decided to change the dates to the next year. But we had new requests. Today we will have a lovely wedding with a BBQ. We will have in September 2 of them, and also in October and November. So some couples decided to celebrate their love this year.
Ah, that's good. Well, I think that's always good to know, certainly, if there's any desperate customers you have there that are still trying to get hitched. It sounds like a good place to go to. So that's fabulous. Right, well, thank you very much, Gudrun. And I think let's go over to Susanne to understand what it's like in Graz. And I hear it's a beautiful day today, Susanne.
Yes, hello from Graz. Yes, it's a beautiful day. It's still summer. We have very nice temperatures, so which is a very good advantage of the city in any case, because life takes place outside. And in a situation like this, of course, it's easier to handle the pandemic when you're rather outside than inside. So from our point of view, I just wanted to add on what Gudrun said. We just heard that there are more tests being offered now for gastronomy, campsite owners, and the youth hostels. So they will get the free tests from the government. And that's really nice to hear, because then you have all the tourism facilities, lodging and gastronomy facilities, where you can be sure that tests are being provided. On the other hand, as also Gudrun said, there is no obligation in general for restaurants employees to wear the face masks or shields, although most of the restaurants in the city, all the people who work there, they have the protective masks and shields, although they are not obliged to do that. So that's for their own safety, and of course for the safety of the guests. Also, if we talk about the restaurants in the evening, they can stay open until 1 o'clock in the morning. although nightclubs and bars, discos, they are still closed. Still, if you are a restaurant owner and you're running a bar, I realized that they register you. So whenever you go into the bar, you have to register, you get a barcode, and that means whenever something will happen or might happen, that you can identify the people around you, and we can work on that cluster and say, or try to keep the spread quite small. In general, museums are open. They work the same thing like the general measures in Austria: keep the distance of 1 meter. If this distance is not possible, you have to wear a face mask or a face shield. On public transport, we had to do that. Also in taxis, you're obliged to wear this, and if you don't wear it, you'll be fined with 40 euros. So it really makes sense to have that ready whenever you enter a train, a tram, a bus, or a taxi.
Wow, that's very important to know about fines, for sure.
Yeah, because we started out without fines, and we got the feeling that people are not necessarily, obeying to that rule. So they introduced the fines, and I think it makes sense that you really watch what you're doing. We are running our regular city tours, so people can participate on that tours. They have a limit of 20 people per group. And again, we try, or the tour guides are advising to stay away from each other, at least for 1 meter. Most of the participants, they wear the masks, but as we are outside most of the time, it's probably not as essential as it is indoors. Like Gudrun said, we are open for events, for smaller events. We're also opening football stadiums for soccer games. Yes, we slowly but steadily are going back to what we once called normal.
Yeah.
And yes, life here at the moment feels pretty normal, because as I said, it's summer, people sit outside, they enjoy the beautiful city vibe. We are preparing for autumn and for winter, because this is going to be more difficult. Everything would take place or will take place indoors. So they are already negotiating to have open the alfresco gardens, the outdoor gardens, also open until late autumn, beginning of winter, so that people can still sit outside and make it a bit easier for the restaurants. We're working on a concept for Christmas markets. Ooh. This is very essential, because it's a time where it's pretty crowded also in the city. And this is not only true for Graz, but also the other Austrian cities. So I think they're all working together to have sort of a very good concept to keep people safe when they travel to Graz or to any other Austrian city for the Christmas markets.
Well, I think that is absolutely brilliant to know that everything is sort of feeling more normal. I mean, we can't even attend football games yet, I don't think. And so once you've got that happening, and gatherings of 200, and you've got your measures in place, it's such a shame that Austria is just teetering on the quarantine list. It's really unfair.
Well, yes, I think it's, as Martina said, it's a political decision, and it's whatever we do, and I think Martina and Gudrun already mentioned it before, it's try and error. So that means some things work out, some things don't. So we really need to adjust to the situation that's going on. And also, starting off next week, we will introduce what we call a traffic light system for the various regions.
Okay.
So that means if there is indeed a rise in infection numbers, not the whole country is going into a lockdown, but just this particular region has to meet certain restrictions for the certain color of the traffic light. So if it jumps from green to orange, that means, well, infections are rising, but it's just this one particular region, or even the particular village or city, that has to meet those restrictions then. So it's a very narrow network, so that we can make sure that not a whole country is affected if one cluster pops up again.
Good, that's very economically sensible. But how would you know what if you're entering an orange zone or a red zone? Is it on a website somewhere, or?
Yes, we have daily updates of our infections on the public networks, on the health Ministry of Health, but also on Austrian Broadcast Network. They have an online update on the cases. They split it down to all the regions, so you can easily find out which region is probably jumping to orange or even to red, or is going back to green. So it's very transparent, and everybody can check up on that too. And what we also have in place, and this is unfortunately just an Austrian thing at the moment, we have a mobile app that we are using to identify corona infections, and it's according to TRTP, and you just type in. It works like that. If two people come together who are using this app, one is infected and signed it in on his app, I will get the notification that there was somebody in my area who is infected, so I know that I should get tested too.
Okay. Yes, I think we trialed that in the Isle of Wight and it didn't quite go so well. But
well, we had our ups and downs in the beginning, but I think now it's working pretty well.
Okay, well, that's very interesting to know. As I say, I mean, the fact that you're functioning really normally just shows that you have got it really under control. And, you know, we wouldn't expect anything less of Austria. Of course, it's a very organized, well-organized country. So I think we have maybe some questions. I know, Martina, you've been managing some of the chat, and I think some questions are coming in. Let's see.
Yes.
So, yes. Okay.
So questions regarding visa applications from Philippines, I will have to speak to our embassy and get back to you. I've also posted a link to our website regarding the entry requirements for people from Southeast Asia. The website is up to date. Then there is also a question regarding restrictions on concerts. As far as I'm aware, since the 1st of August, it's possible to hold indoor events with up to 500 people and outdoor events with up to 750 people.
Yeah, it's very encouraging.
Yes, and football will return, which is important for me.
Yeah.
And then I think we will share our contact details after the webinar.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we're going to contact details, another video, I think, to do with Graz, so you can see a bit more about Graz. There was one question on museums and attractions and just generally the places that you can go, and there were any restrictions, you know, so the one question came through. Yes, so are they open? But I think it sounds like they must be, but do
yes,
explain further.
Yeah, museum and attractions are open. Some of the museums are using online reservations, so to make the flow quite smooth and that there are not too many people at the museum at the same time, which is very helpful. And also we work a lot with digitalization now to make really to see where the hotspots are and to see how to manage the flow. But in general, there is absolutely no problem. It's easy to visit. It's easy to to get around or to move around freely without having the impression that somebody gets really too close to you.
Yeah, well, this is just perplexing because you are fully open. There's no unlock about it. You've been unlocked. You are unlocked. I know
Yes.
Cases seem to have been rising, but only ever so slightly. I'm pretty sure you'll be off the quarantine list very soon.
Well, I hope so. And now I see there's the question, has Austria bordered for international tourists? Yes, we did. And we're, of course, accepting visitors from within the European Union and the UK. Of course, there's no, I think, Martina, correct me if I'm wrong, North America is not allowed to enter, and of course, Asia. And it's also a question of availability of flights, because airlines are, as you all know, are working on very limited capacity and on very limited flights. But in general, we could say within the Schengen area, we can move around freely, so without any major restrictions. So we can we can receive visitors from, let's say, Italy, from even Croatia, Slovenia, from all neighboring countries without any testing, without any other restrictions in place.
Okay, that's good. Right, so Gudrun, any further, not Gudrun, well, I'll say it. Gudrun, yes, anything more to add on your side since I've said Gudrun?
Yeah, no, I only wanted to say you that, yeah, we love to see guests at our hotel spending a nice time here in Austria, and there are a lot of them, maybe less than last year, but yeah, you can spend very lovely holidays in Austria at the moment too.
Yes, I know, I think we're missing out somewhat. Boo. Okay, Martina, is there anything else that's come up on the chat that we should look at? And also, if there's any more burning questions, now's the time to put them into the Q&A. Martina, anything?
Well, there is I'm starting with the easy question.
Yeah.
Trains are operating into other European countries because borders are open. There are certain restrictions like Sweden, obviously, which is not open yet. But in principle, trains are operating. I don't really understand the red and white cards, the process defined for red, white cards.
You know, I guess this is our Rot-Weiß Rot card.
Oh, okay.
Work permission.
Okay, so we have to check that. Yeah. Then any restrictions on trains for tourists? No, you just have to wear the face mask. And some of the regional trains are probably not as regular as they used to, but trains are running. Coaches are at normal capacity, same as with the trains. Not every coach is running, but you can get everywhere without any issues.
May I quickly add a train experience from myself, because I was recently traveling from Graz to the far west of Austria to Bregenz, and it's about I think it's an 8 hours train ride with a change in Salzburg, and it was perfect. I mean, the trains are safe, they are clean, it was just very easy to get from A to B without any really worries that something might happen. And so for that, I would say if you travel within Austria on public transport, especially on trains, and if you book ahead a couple of days or a week, you can really get nice prices for first class tickets, because I was traveling to Bregenz and back first class for less than 100 euros. So that's really cheap, and if you travel first class, it's even better, because you really don't have to worry about space, because I basically was all by myself in a compartment. So it's very easy, and Austria is, I would say, it's really a safe destination to travel. We see this at the statistics, we see that especially areas in the Alps and close to lakes and stuff are very well booked for the summer. It's just the cities that are facing a bit of a challenge, because of course we depend a lot on international travelers too. So that's a great opportunity for us also for Gudrun and myself to explain that it's safe to travel to cities too, and that we really try to do the utmost and the best to keep infection numbers low, and to make our guests really feel safe and welcome and happy in the city.
Right, brilliant. So now I see that that Bambi, Corti and Jeston have raised their hands. So I'm going to allow you to talk if you want to say something. If you didn't mean to do that, then now's the time to say. So it looks like Bambi's just keeping her hand up, so I'm going to allow you to talk. There you go. Anything to say, Bambi? You're on mute at the moment.
Sorry, I'm sorry, it was just a mistake. Just press back.
Oh, a mistake. Okay. All right, that's no
anyway,
problem.
very pleased to hear that the recently update about Austria, which is a lovely country, our neighbor. I'm Italian, so yes. And I think it's wonderful because of the sceneries and mountains and everything. I hope winter will be very good for Austria.
Yes, actually, you've just made me think. Ski season.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to talk about the ski season. Are the slopes going to be ready? Because that's a very important booking time.
Slopes are always ready in Austria.
Nope.
Imagine.
Can't help but be ready, can they?
But I think we take all the experience we made now in summer, and as Susanne told you, and Gudrun, there are certain measures in place, the testing, and take it over to winter and improve it. I know from certain regions that they will offer tests for guests as well. But all this information about how winter will work, how many people are allowed in a gondola, and so on, will be published probably within the next 1 or 2 weeks, because I know that the cable car companies are working on it.
Brilliant. Okay, good news. So one final question is, somebody wants to know how the employment situation has fared in Austria.
Well, of course we have a
hard to say, I know, but
yeah, it's a higher rate of employment rate, of course, but we had a very good, we still have a very good program in place, which is called short-term working, so that you stay employed in your company, but you're not working full hours. Like you work 20%, but you still get 80% of your wages. And that will go through to the end of September, and then it will be renegotiated. So the Austrian government has put a lot of money into the rebuilding of the economy. Of course, there will be still enterprises and companies that will not go through 2021, which is obvious. But again, the government tries really hard to keep unemployment rates down, to enlarge in that short-term working, and to help Austrian companies to really go through that crisis better than maybe the rest of Europe. So we are all sitting in the same boat at the moment, I'm afraid. But we're looking slightly optimistic into the future, and hope we will see it through to 2021. So I think it will be a bit of a rough sail until mid-2021. Hopefully then it will get calmer, and we will really go back to normal. But at the moment it's tricky, it's tough, and yeah, we try to do our best.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I mean, I think, as you say, you're not the only country in that particular boat, but it does sound like you have really moved forward. You've made lots of strides to open up the country to be as normal as possible. And I must say, I personally had no idea just how normal, in inverted commas, things have been in Austria. So it's such a shame that you've ended up on our quarantine list, but I'm sure it's not for long, because it's so close. And it's really heartening to know exactly what's happening out in Austria, all the places we can go to. You can really have a thoroughly good holiday, a really good experience, a great time. You can, loud as anything, say that to your customers. Making them feel confident to go to Austria as a destination, which is really what this webinar is all about. You know, knowledge creates confidence, and confidence delivers the visitors to the destination with the right knowledge. And I think you're handling the crisis well. So I'm sure you'll continue to do that and weather the storm. We'll get through 2020, we'll launch into 21, and we'll just have to say what a year that was, and what an experience to live through. In the meantime,
maybe just can add another aspect if you're out for city trips, because as I said before, it's the cities that are really suffering at the moment. Mm-hmm. Most of the Austrian cities have wonderful surroundings, like Vienna has the vineyards, great places for hiking within a 30 minutes drive on public transport. Same goes true for Graz and Salzburg and Bregenz. So maybe we should also change the perception of a city trip being just a city. But there's so much green around the cities, and Austrian cities tend to be very small, except Vienna. So within a whiz of time, you're out of the city center, you're in the green, you can take a walk, you can sit down at a wine tavern and have a glass of wine. So a city could also be your base for a very nice Austrian holiday in the green. So we'd like to work on that perception too, because that could help, or that will be beneficial for all of us too.
Yes, absolutely. And the two contrasts work perfectly. And of course, if you want to know more about Graz and you want to know more about Austria, and if you haven't already, because I know they're actually one of our most popular courses on OTT, then do make sure you go to OTT and sign on to their course. There's lots of comprehensive information there. There's contact details. If you go to the suppliers part of OTT, you can actually follow Austria as well. So when they notify you of the changes that are happening in Austria, you will get a notification and you'll be as up to date as you possibly can be. So do make sure that you follow Austria and that you also do the course to get more information, and they will keep you, stay tuned. And I think keep it very much on the radar for your customers to travel to. It sounds wonderful. I'm sorry we haven't had time for everybody's questions today, but I will send the contact details through post the webinar, so you'll have them there and you can literally, as I say, ask the horse's mouth. And find out exactly what the situation is when you need to. And just like to thank you all very much, Martina, Susanne and Gudrun, for joining us today on this really informative and very interesting webinar. I wish you all the best going forward. And I'd like to thank all of you today for joining this webinar, taking the time, because, you know, things are still a little bit crazy, a little bit busy, and you're trying to work everything out. So it is an investment of your time, but I hope it really has helped. I'm sure it will have done. And so we appreciate that too as well. So it's just to say goodbye from OTT and goodbye to the whole team.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.